solemn week, I should say. We finally got to bury our former president, if you're Ghanaian, that is, our former president, Jerry John Rawlings, this week. The funeral, obviously, it was a state funeral. It was very, very well organized, and it was very grand. And although opinions differ, I feel like it was well deserved for a great man. I feel like he was a great leader. Obviously, he's human, and no great leader, is without faults. He might not everybody might agree with perhaps how he reigned, or how he came into power. But nevertheless, I feel like overall, when we count the great leaders of Africa, I believe he's one of them. This is a personal opinion. You don't have to agree. But, I mean, in a very typical African, or shall I say, a Ghanaian tradition, of course, the funeral or his death wouldn't go without drama. We've had a few people come out to claim that they're his children. I've had to laugh at most of these allegations, because I mean, most of these people are just, if you look at them, like, I feel like they're just as old as his wife. How can you come and say that you are his child? But, I'm not judging anybody's whatever. If you believe it, fine. If you don't, of course, the man is not a saint, but let's apply wisdom to a lot of things as well. Like, what, just because he's dead? How do you live in Ghana with this man, like, for your whole life? Some lady is like 52, another man is 50, some other woman as well. I think there's 4 people that have come out for 52 years. You didn't do DNA test. You didn't come forward. Even if you were scared of him, because he's got a reputation, you couldn't go to Peace FM. You couldn't go to any of the media houses to help you reach him. I'm just confused. Like, I just want to see how this plays out, and I want to know what the outcome is. Like, what do you want now that he's dead? There were a few of them causing commotion at the funeral, and I'm just like, let the man rest in peace. Leave his family alone. If you didn't want a relationship with him whilst he was alive, what do you want with his death? Like, what exactly do you want? Your supposed dad was alive. You didn't care to have a relationship with him, build a bond with him, or get close to him now that he's dead. I mean, I know Ghanaian people, we love funerals and we love dead people, but come on, this is taking it too far. Let the family mourn in peace, and just leave them alone. Even if he is your dad, he's dead. So what do you want from him now? I don't understand. But anyways, I know a lot of people disagree, but I can only be honest and share what I think. Yeah, and then at the same time, we also lost a great actress over in America. If you've watched Roots, I know a lot of you have watched Roots in secondary school, or coming of age movies. It's a slave trade movies and all of that. She was in it, Cicely Tyson. She passed away. She's a legendary actress. She passed away, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, at the age of 96. So our hearts goes out to their families as well, and we wish them like all the best, and we pray that God will comfort them in this time of need, I should say. Yeah, so I think that's enough now for hot topics. So today we're actually going to talk about something very, very serious and very, very dear to my heart, because it's quite personal to me as well. We're talking about the stigma surrounding disability, especially in the Ghanaian community. I actually have a brother that's got Down syndrome, and I'm right after him. So he's my older brother, and I have to say, over the years, It's been confusing, to say the least, to see how he's been treated every time I visit Ghana, and both by society, by family, and by friends as well. So this is a topic that it is serious, but I think it's very important as well. It's not every day we will talk about fun, fluffy stuff on the show. Sometimes we have to get serious as well. So we're going to be talking about the stigma surrounding disability within the African community, and more specifically the Ghanaian community. How do you treat disabled people? How do you feel about them? How do you see them? Do they belong in society with us, or should they be shunned? These are the questions and more that we are going to be treating today. I have a wonderful guest in studio with me by the name of Mark. When we come back from the break, we will delve straight into the topic, and I will hand over to him to educate us more on the topic. So we will be back shortly. See you very soon.
Offer, Major say, me need me. Oh, yes, my. Now, only certificate. Offer, me a good certificate. Oh, offer, for part, you to come on certificate. You are not a certificate. ITS Pro Center. I feel now. Shall you put it by your training? Gonna problem is a pay. And I am young. We are so probably no for a so so man car. Would you pay money? Now, can you say, would you to abroad so tell him? And sign that man any ITS Pro Center. ITS Pro Center. Me dey find it is pro. I just say bia ya teaching crop ya mount SIA license. Now bet me dey road security. Now dey go pay adwuma. O hwe say dey na nkofo adwuma sign no wonya adwuma. Ba bia make am farmer aye ITS Pro Center. And what any bet you amount here by 4 days pay. Na on certificate. Enti adati na esa was na ka chepso wonya adwuma ye. ITS Pro Training Center no. Anya SIA nkwa na ye ye CSCS card so account CSCS card so no. Just 1 day training pep. Na wo wie so a unsabesa account health and safety certificate so. Enti what why dey? Enti hwe nkofo agya hui. Omo wie wo training. Omo akwakọ sha adwuma se o site. Enti me no gana fo. Moti why dey? And then you want to make a Bomodia na free. Our son number is so. For number no 079 04 68 6944 079 04 68 6944. Bomodia na free in the year. And now say 078 462 11172 078 462 11172. ITS Pro Training Center. Address 453 to 457 first floor, Libridge Road, E10 7E. Buses do one foul. Bomodia na brand ya. And the found some way you are. But so bet me a rock construction and security. And do their prayer. Na ya kaw kasa. Yes, out to kasa so. Training center we. Na sakwe training center we. Tu ya with some certificate. Now you go here juma.
Welcome back to the show. You're tuned into the 3D show with myself, Desire. And so just before the break, I introduced the topic for today. We're going to be talking about the stigma surrounding disability in the African community, and more specifically, the Ghanaian community. This is a very interesting and personal topic to myself, and it is quite serious. So I will plead with you that you will treat it with respect in the comment sections and all of that. Let's not make fun, let's not be judgmental, let's not be foolish, excuse me to say, because it is I take it very, very personal, and I guess as the show goes on, you will understand why. So I've got in the studio with me Mark Sunu Atta. Yeah. Yes, I hope I said it right.
Yes.
So I'm gonna hand over to Mark. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Desire.
So
Thanks
what's
so much.
Sunu? Where's that from?
From the Volta region.
Volta region.
Yes.
So are you Ewe?
I'm Ewe.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Made a cuckoo and all of that. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. So, Mark, tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do?
Okay.
What's your background?
Right. Okay. So, well, I'm Mark Sinwata, as Desire rightly said. I have a background in mental health.
Okay.
And also furthered my education to actually be an independent nurse prescriber.
Okay.
I currently work with people with substance misuse problems or issues. Perhaps they're using heroin, crack, other substances that might be quite chaotic in their life.
Yeah.
And I also deal with alcohol as well, and I prescribe for them in terms of their treatment plan. Yeah.
Okay. Mark, you're a Christian, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So, and I ask you this not because I'm trying to be nosy, but I feel like from research and everything, I feel like within the African community, we attribute a lot of things that we don't understand to spirituality.
Correct.
So what prompted you to just like to take it a step further, to actually want to study it and not just accept it as, because I presume you were brought up in church, so it would be easy for you to say, okay, yeah, everything is the devil. You know, alcoholism is the devil, because a lot of Africans and the Ghanaian people don't accept that alcoholism is an actual sickness that can be cured. Yeah. Like they think that it is a curse, or you know, it's just like anything spiritual is evil. So what made you want to study it further than just to accept it as what?
Okay.
What you were taught to believe?
Thanks for your question. I worked within the prison setting. Okay. And I realized a lot of people that were actually brought into prison were just not doing crime. Some people have some difficulties or some level of I will say they have some conditions that actually contributed to they actually having to commit those crimes. And if you deeply look into that, you realize that a lot of them have some kind of learning disability, right? Or perhaps some other challenges, some mental health issues that actually leads to that. So personally, I said, no, I have to have a look at this, you know, and having to read and also having to have personal experiences within family, within my friends, people having kids with a need. I realized, you know what, our community needs to learn a little bit more about disability. For instance,
how will you define disability? Because a lot of people think it's just, oh, you know, one leg is amputated. Like a lot of people think it's like physical is what you see, but I believe there are a lot of disabilities that you can't just see
just
from
cannot see
looking at somebody.
Okay, so if we look at the Act itself, the Equality Act 2010, on page 4 or section 4.
In Ghana or UK?
Or in UK.
In the UK.
In the UK. It actually tells us that disability could be anyone who is suffering from any physical health problem or mental health problem. That is who is actually struggling to deal with his day-to-day needs. Okay. There are two words in there that actually resonates a lot. It says a impairment. Okay, so that impairment actually talks about the severity of the problem. So Desire, you could be down here, you look smart and everything, but it could be you do have some level of disability. Okay, and then at the same time, you could also have someone whose disability could actually be seen in terms of, like, you could tell that, oh, this person have got disability. So this disability itself is quite a broad spectrum. You can't just not say that, oh, this person looks all right, so they are not disabled.
Which is a lot of the time the mistakes that we do.
Exactly. I mean, we look at things like, oh, how can this person come to claim that they are disabled? He's walking all right. He's speaking all right. So how come he says he's disabled? But mind you, disability ranges from all areas, and I will be mentioning this as we talk along. And one of the areas I really want to talk about is autism. Okay. All right. So autism within our community has been a big challenge. Okay, has been a big challenge. Why
and when
do
you
I say
say
that?
Our community, you mean the black
community,
right?
And want to narrow it down to the Ghanaian community, because I've seen several people that have got kids with autism. They don't know what to do. They don't know how the challenges present itself, and they are stuck. And with the stigma, you look at them, you know they're going through a lot, but then they can't talk about it because they feel by talking about it, they are being weak. By talking about it, perhaps someone else will define them in a different scope. But I'm here today just to talk about it and to break it down a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of challenges that goes with it, and
what is autism, and what signs are there for you, for like a parent to look out for?
Okay, so autism, I know a lot of people dyslexia, and some people say Asperger's. Those were the very old words we were using. But then a new classification tells us that autism is actually a spectrum.
Right.
So when you talk about a spectrum, it means that it can start from A and end at Z. Right. And you could be at any point of that spectrum. What it actually says is that there could be somebody who could have a very low IQ. You could have somebody who could have a very, very high IQ.
And they can both belong on the spectrum.
And they are all on the spectrum.
Right,
They are all on the spectrum. One characteristic that defines them is social interaction. They struggle with social interaction. For instance, you bring them down and you realize that one, they struggle to sit still. Or vice versa, or will sit down quietly and not do anything at all. You could have some that are very hyperactive, whereby they jumping from one place to the other. Whilst you have another set of group who will be very quiet and will not move a muscle. Right? So it's actually a spectrum. And with this, people struggle with it. Okay. And
when you say people struggle with it, is it the...
Okay, all right. So it's both ways. The parents are struggling with it, the children are struggling with it, and society is struggling with it. I will give some examples. For instance, if a parent actually have a child with need, I will always say a child with need, because the need varies from one person to the other. Have a child with need. One, if the person understands autism, they know what sort of need to pull out for that child. If they don't know, they feel that child is a curse to them. And in our society, that is what happens. The moment you have a child, the moment you have a child who is not neurotypical like the other kids, we define that person as one, deviant, or that wasn't given to me by God. So when we look at our... Well, it's to do with our culture. I don't know if you watched that documentary done by Sophie Morgan in 2012. The world's worst place to be disabled. In 2015, that was actually screened. And it talked about the brutalities that happens in Ghana with kids with disability. I remember vividly when watching that documentary, a child has been chained for 18 good years. Then you ask yourself, is that not worse than slavery? Is that not worse than slavery? And is that not worse than even being an animal? Even when you have a dog, you remove the leash for the dog to go around, to jump around, play around.
Even prisoners have time to play.
Exactly, you know, and then you have chained someone for 15 good years to 18 years.
Just because they have
a disability, one way or the other.
But you know, when you say that it's cultural, is it like, where does that culture come from? Because I struggle to accept that, like, our ancestors, like our culture supports killing an innocent baby. Because from that documentary that you're saying, I remember I think they went to a native doctor,
Yes.
where like, if they bring a baby with a disability,
Yes.
they will say, oh, you know, like the rivers have cursed it or whatever.
Correct.
And then they'll throw the baby like into the river.
Yes.
And as a new mom, I'm just like, how do you bond with a child for 9 months and stand there and watch your child being thrown into a river just because they don't look like, you know, like the typical child
kid, yeah.
or they don't like where does that come from?
One is to do with culture, how it's set up. It runs through the traditional culture, it runs through the Christian culture, it runs through the Muslim culture, it runs through
it's religion
and itself
cultural.
and cultural. I mean, if you look at it, when and you look at that documentary, and they have several documentaries out there, you realize that they call those kids what? Insuoba. Insuoba.
Like
how can you
the water of
a
the
child
sea.
of the water? Okay, so a child like that have to return back to the water.
Yeah.
But then a neurotypical kid, you say it's a blessing from God. So those are some of the issues we have in our society.
I'm getting too emotional.
Yeah.
We need to take a break because this is, like I said, guys, this is a very heavy topic. It's just too much. Like I can't wrap my head around it. We're gonna take a very quick break. We will come back. I know it's a heavy topic, but it's important for us to discuss it so we can find a better way out of it. Stay tight. We'll be right back after the break.
Mabase, na yin na wo fra, wo be nyina asa de people kra ti we.
Ofa, mejuma say. Me ni aduma bia ye.
O de aduma ye. Na only certificate bia.
Ofa, me go dey ko certificate. Oh, ofa
na for pa bia tu ti kwa certificate. Na me ko certificate. ITS Pro Center. Hwe afemu nyina. Hwe ni podo ya training wo. Gana problem ye sape. Ana ya me ya no. We are so probably no for a so man hwa wo de bo pay man wo na kan hu say wo de otu abro so wo toyem and say anya dwuma no enidi ITS Pro Center me de me fan it is pro say bia ya tete nkrofo ya ma SIA license na bet me de road security na wo de akopay dwuma wo hwe say de na nkofo adwuma sai no wonya adwuma ba bia me kan fama wo aye ITS Pro Center. And what any better amount here by 4 days per na unsa ka certificate. Enti adati na esa was na ka chapso wunya adwuma ye. ITS Pro Training Center no. Anya SI nkwa na ye ye CSCS card so aka ho. CSCS card no. Just 1 day training pep. Na wo wie so a unsa besa ka ho health and safety certificate so. Enti what wa ye dey. Enti hwa nkofo agya we. Omo wie wo training. Omo akwakwa adwuma se wo site etimi na me gana fo moti wo ye den enne ya wote me kan bomodia na frey awa sa numbers we so fa number no 079 04 68 6944 079 04 68 6944 bomodia na frey ne ya anase 078 462 11172 078 462 11172. ITS Pro Training Center. Address 453 to 457 First Floor, Libridge Road, E10 7E. Buses do one one fa. Bomodia na brand ya. Enti amfa wo se wo yi oba. Mo so betimi awura construction na security. Enti wo de frey na ye ka wo kasa. Ye sa te wo kasa nso. Training center we. That's a training center we. To some certificate now
to the show. You're tuned into the 3D show, and my name is Desire. I'm joined in the studio by a gentleman called Mark. We are talking about a very sensitive topic today. The topic is the stigma surrounding disability. Just before the break, it got a bit heavy and we had to take a break, but we will push through. So just before the break, we were talking about, you mentioned Nswoba, which for those of you that don't understand tree, that's like what, the child of water or child of the sea or something, which is what a lot of these like society names children with disability.
Correct.
Like they label them as that, as if like they were not given by God, but they were given by a spirit. I don't know who was standing there when the spirit was given. Sorry, like it's so annoying. It's so infuriating for people to do these things. But how do we move past this? Because I know that a lot of the fault, like you said, comes from religion, comes from our cultural beliefs. So like the traditionalists and all of that, and then also just plain ignorance. So let's talk about that. Like how is religion contributing to this stigma, and how is culture as well and tradition contributing?
Right. I think one of the things we have observed over the years is that any form of disability is not accepted, especially in the Ghanaian community. I mean, you look at it, even when someone has got disability and a gentleman or a lady sees that person attractive and want to propose to that person and goes back to the family to say, I have met Miss ABC. Is it okay for me to marry the person? First thing they'll say, let's have a look at this lady or gentleman. When this person comes in, the moment your family sets an eye on this person and they've got a disability, it's a no-no. They even forget about the talent the person have got,
the character,
what they are capable of doing, and what they can give to society. So for us that see that physical thing, it's a no-no. All right. When it even cuts across mental health. And I know when I was little, there were some families that were actually labeled to say, you know what, don't play with such family because they are all lunatics in that family. Just because perhaps maybe one person in that family might have struggled with mental health or some level of disability. So you could tell that this thing has actually been planted or is part of our culture all these years. And we've traveled out of Ghana into UK. And that same thing is being reflected upon us.
But it's a bit harder here because, you know, within the in the UK, you can't have that mentality because you go to work and your manager's sitting in a wheelchair. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna judge the person and say you can't talk to me, like, or you can't manage me because you're in Sioba?
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? So I feel like you're right. We have brought those things here, but it's challenged because disability is not viewed or treated the same way within the UK.
Correct. Because in UK, everybody is given an equal opportunity.
Which is the act that
which is the act I spoke about earlier on. And then that actually helps that person or empowers that person to even do exploits. As I spoke about Sophie Morgan. Sophie Morgan actually had an accident. She was an abled person, right? She had an accident at the age of 18 and became paralyzed from neck to her feet, right? But she can still move her hands. Her plan was to be an architect. But then what happened? She decided to go into School of Performing Arts, and she excelled as a journalist. This is the culture that embraces challenges, that embraces disability. But when you look back at home, which disabled person actually is given the opportunity to excel? Look at our schools. Are there even anything, anything designed for disabled people. When you look at it, anything designed for disabled people are vocation sectors.
Even when you look at commercial properties, how many of them actually have like access for wheelchair users?
Correct.
I mean, like, you know, somebody with a disability will walk into a bank to access his own funds, and he will be looked down or as if to say he's there to beg.
Yeah.
And so my question comes back, like, what role? Because I believe that, you know, as much as this prejudice and this stigma has existed between us, like before us, I feel like it's still being perpetuated by certain institutions, like religious institutions. Because if I have a child, and, you know, like the documentary that we watched, a lot of the parents had wasted so much money to take their children to this prayer camp. Like, I think there was one popular one, a Dumfa or something, like, you know, taking the children there, paying all sorts of money, selling their lands, doing this, doing that. And then one that really broke my heart was this boy. His mom had spent about 9 months taking him around, you know, churches upon churches, and then finally brought him to a disability organization, which was run by, excuse me, to a white woman. And you know, after they did scans and everything, they were like, this could have been prevented if you just brought him earlier.
Correct.
So how do we move on?
I think that is where we need education. Even if you look at education
from where is it education from, like, through the churches, through our families? Because it's just a nightmare.
I always say, in the Ghanaian society, we tend to look up to religious leaders
a lot.
So if religious leaders could actually embrace the understanding of disability, there will be a lot of good being done in our society, and not just from that end. If families then understand how disability works, what contributes to disability, things that you could even do for someone who is disabled to be empowered, all this mindset will change. So it's not just one institution, it's an amalgamation of several institutions that needs to be well thought and also well structured. I mean, I remember very well that same documentary when Sophie went to talk to the ministries that deals with disability in Ghana. They didn't have a clue of what they were doing. It just tells you that a lot of things are not being put in place.
But isn't that a shame?
It is a shame.
How do you go to a ministry created specifically for this issue, yet they don't have anything to say about? So what exactly do they wake up from their homes to go to the office to do?
It's also part of that education thing. If the one actually running that service is not educated, how will he be able or she be able to train those at the bottom?
But then the question, like, is how did they even get that position in the first place? Because if you're not educated within this realm, how are you getting appointed a minister or anything in that area?
I think it was part of the reason why Ghana appears to be one of the worst places to be disabled. Look at our trotro system or taxi system. Is there anything done to actually accommodate people that have disability? And even if someone has disability, will people accept that person to even sit by their side?
People behave like disability is contagious. And it's like what you just said, you know, this Sophia lady, I mean, she was well abled, and then later on in life, circumstances changed and made her disabled from, you know, the neck down. So I feel like part of the answer has to be empathy. Because if you truly have empathy, you will think twice before shunning another human being or judging another human being, because it could be you. I'm not you personally. Like I'm not saying that, you know, it will happen, but who knows? Because anything can happen. You can go to bed and wake up with, I don't know, a toothache, your brain damaged. You know, you can sit in a car. You don't know what is going to happen.
Correct.
So, I mean, unfortunately, yes, the stigma does exist. So how do we now deal with it, and how do we attempt to like move around it?
Okay, I put out a few points.
Okay.
I'm going to mention them, and
Please
then we could actually look at it in phases. One of the things I wrote down was the challenges that parents do face, or the child suffering with a disability face, is the loss of friends or losing friends. Okay, and I explained that. When a child has got a disability, when that child goes to school, one, as I made mention earlier, it's a spectrum. So there could be a child who is hyperactive. Hence, other kids don't want to play with him because he's too strong, he's too hyper, so they just can't deal with him. And the other child might be too quiet, too shy to engage. So when you ask a lot of these kids, who is your best friend? Trust me, they even struggle to pinpoint one single kid. So you realize that child grows in a society and they haven't got any,
and they're not part
friends,
of society.
and they don't become part of society. On the flip side, the parents also suffer, in the sense that whilst your child have got a disability, you struggle. Sometimes you are in self-denial. You don't want to accept it. And you also had goals when you were about to have that kid, that I want my kid to be this, I want my kid to be that, I want my kid to be that. Then you realize that you have your friends that have got a neurotypical kid that can read, write, go to school, do everything, and your kid can't do anything. So then what happens? You start shunning away from your friends. Because when you get closer to your friends, that feeling of hope is lost, because we human, you start comparing, what happened to my child? My child never made it. Will he ever cross this path? Will he ever be independent? Will he be able to do anything meaningful? So because of that, people don't want to go through all that. So then they withdraw. So they don't even call friends. They don't call people. And then they just stay at home. So most of the times it leads to depression. Okay. So
sometimes it breaks up marriages, isn't it?
Because a lot.
You're like so and then sometimes, unfortunately, our Ghanaian and African brothers, and you know, like they will end up like, oh, and if you were like they will end up blaming the woman. And
correct. You're so right. Just want to touch on the marriage thing you spoke about. Having a disabled child takes a lot of your time. What a neurotypical kid, for instance, a neurotypical kid will go to the bathroom, shower for 5 minutes and get up. For a disabled child, perhaps you need to assist that kid. It's taking your own time. It's taking the time of the family. It's taking the time of other institutions.
Or other kids
in the house as well. And just as you said, it breaks family in as much that you spend so much energy trying to do your very best for that kid. So then you neglect your spouse. Okay. So sexually, you don't do anything.
Because you're tired.
You're tired. You don't even find time to talk. There's no joy in even having a nice discussion, because you are preoccupied with having to deal with that kid.
And unfortunately, a lot of this burden tends to fall on the women.
Correct. You've said it.
So
and
what
a
can
lot of the
men do? What can they do to support, instead of just thinking, oh, I'm horny and I need to get some?
Yes.
Let's
so
be
that is where the education comes in. The moment you identify your kid have got a need, you have to self-educate yourself. I think a lot of the time people are in self-denial to say, oh, me ban to me say onya me ba. And I say well, he has to change or she has to change.
Yeah. And then you start putting pressure on the child.
Correct.
To just
Correct.
Oh, this is heartbreaking.
And you're not enjoying any moment with the family or the child.
Yeah.
There are struggles. That's why a lot of autistic parents are told, take one day at a time, right? Not like the neurotypical kid whereby you could plan a future. This you can't tell. Today might be okay, tomorrow might be worse. The next day might be okay, the next day might be something else. So just enjoy it. And not just enjoying it with the child, but enjoying it with your partner as well. Because sometimes you just need a respite, right? Calling your mom, dad to help you with it. And that's where some of the problem is. Your mom and your dad doesn't accept that child, so they are not even willing to sit in to look after that child. So, I mean, a Black society or community needs to have a total re-cleaning of our thoughts in terms of disability. And I'll go on as well. I mean, sometimes it also puts you in that position of always fighting. You know your child.
On defense.
You know your child have got a disability, so now you want to advocate for the child. So you're always picking fights with family members, authorities. Perhaps people have to do things in school, they're not doing it properly. So you realize that you're spending time writing letters, you're spending time creating other WhatsApp groups, trying to even get some funding from the council for autistic kids or disabled children, you know. So it's constant you fighting for something. But the problem is that as you fighting, are you actually having any other fun? You know, and it's one of the things that were the parents. Because if you're not having fun and you're actually putting all your energy into this sort of things, it will get to a point you will break. And that's where you're going to be having depression. And then you ask yourself, if you have a depression and your child has also got a disability, who is going to take care of the other? That is why, first and foremost, you have to take care of yourself. Do the happy things. Play games, go out for a walk, clear your mind up, and then go back and help that child. So the Ghanaian community needs to wake up. There's a lot we need to do within our community.
Because it exists. It exists. I mean, as much as, you know, we want to pray against it and, you know, God forbid it, or like, you know, we can, these issues do exist. And, you know, we do have family members, we've got siblings, we've got loved ones who are living with, you know, disabilities. So, like you said, we need to wake up and accept these things and accept, you know, these people, accept our loved ones as they are, and find ways that we can relate to them better, rather than fighting something that it may seem abnormal to society, but it is normal. Because this is how they were born.
Correct.
So,
and not just that, people feel these children can never achieve. For instance, let me give you
like they're just useless.
They're just
Nothing
useless.
good can come from
Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, is actually on the spectrum. And he's in Belmarsh at the moment. I mean, because of the leaking of confidential documents, for all of us to know what is happening behind the scene. This person has actually got a need. He's been diagnosed with Asperger's, but he's high functioning.
Of course.
And we have so many people in society that are high functioning. I mean, it's actually rumored that Steve Jobs, the CEO of Apple actually have some. It's on the spectrum, you know. Even though he hasn't come out to say he's been diagnosed, but it's actually rumored. Why? Because the way he hasn't got social interaction, his social interaction skills is quite poor, right? And people on the spectrum always displays this sort of characteristics, you see. So there are so many people in society that have actually struggled with some level of need, but then you learn it you learn it,
Yeah.
you come out of it. Joe Biden is a stammerer,
Yeah.
but he's learned how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And he's now the president. So disability can never stop you.
Yeah, it can't
it's
stop
about
your
what you
destiny.
can throw at people. That is what I'm saying. The Ghanaian community have to wake up to say, look, a lot of our kids are being diagnosed with autism and other learning disabilities. How best can we help our children?
Yeah.
And how best can the society itself come together
Yeah.
to understand how these things work,
Yeah.
so we can move forward?
Yeah.
Because
And
it will
normalize them.
normalize. Life will be normal.
Of
That
course.
I will see a child with a need and I wouldn't stigmatize them.
Yeah, or
I
stop my child
wouldn't-
from playing with them. Yeah.
You know, but rather to empower them to achieve their life destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you. I wish we can talk about this even more, because I still feel like there's a lot more topics that, you know, we can hit on, but I feel at the same time I believe we've covered a large part of the topics, and you know, and I feel like we've answered the question as well. So right. So guys, we've been talking about, you know, the stigma surrounding disability. We've talked about parents, you know, the difficulties parents face when they are when they have children with needs, more specifically something like autism and being on the spectrum. A lot of the times it affects, you know, other children that you may have. It affects your time with your spouse. It affects your personal time as well, and how you look after yourself. But most importantly, something like this shouldn't affect how you relate to your child that has the needs. You know, as much as it's stressful and all of that, like, look at that child as any of your other children. They need love just as any of the other children do as well. Don't treat them any differently, you know, than the others, unless it's, you know, like, I guess more specifically to their needs. And for goodness sake, go easy on yourself. This is not, you know, you didn't cause this. You didn't bring this upon yourself. You're not cursed. You know, you are not, I don't know, like, the devil is not in your backyard. Yeah, the devil is not in your backyard playing, I don't know, chaskele with your destiny or something. So yeah, the answer is, you know, to today's topic, yes, there's a lot of stigma surrounding people living with disability within the African community, and I think it's about time we grow up and, you know, just come out of it, because they are here to stay. They are part of society, and just because they have a disability, it does not mean that they cannot contribute to society. They're not contributing to society because we haven't given them a chance to contribute to society. We have chained them in rooms for 15 years, when realistically, if we put them in schools, if we created avenues for them, they could have, you know, contributed something to our society. Even if it's not physically, their minds are not disabled. You know, even if their minds are disabled, they're not physically disabled. So let's educate ourselves, and let's have empathy when it comes to others. Just before we go, I want to give Mark a chance. Do you have any last words? Do you want to say hello to perhaps your loved ones? Valentine's is coming, so
Well,
yeah.
I just want to leave you with this few words. How can we fight this, and how can we win in our own society, especially having to compare ourselves with our Caucasians, how they take disability and pride in it? What can we do to actually be a winners in our own small way? One, take your spirituality very seriously. When I talk about spirituality, not just about going to church, but there's something destined in you to be able to give out. What can you give out to society? What can you give out to kids that are in need, or even adults that have got disability? Reach out to them, speak to them, and look out for a lot of resources that can be able to help them.
Yeah.
Within Newham, we are within Newham. Within Newham alone, there's so many resources you could get. You could be able to do a self-referral if your kid have got a disability. When you go on the website, Newham website, there is a MASH. There's a place called MASH column. You could go in there, you could refer your child to say he's in a critical need, and Newham will definitely get back to you within 2 weeks. They will respond to you. You have your schools. Your schools have got Senko leads. They could actually help you from that end. Okay? So there's so much out there that we can do to change our lives. And the power is in your hands. You could only do it by you actually taking a step out there to cause a change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any shout outs to your loved ones?
Yes,
friends?
I will say a big shout out to my dear wife, Eslyn. She's a pediatric nurse.
Oh.
So she deals with a lot of kids at war. And I have my 2 lovely boys, Salikem and Clenham, and all my loved ones out there. Stay safe, mask up. We live in a very critical time now. Mask up, keep yourself safe. If you can stay at home, stay at home. If you have to work from home, work at home. We love you. We want to see you safe.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark. And yeah, we hope to see you very, very soon. We hope this is not the first or the last time we're going to see you. We'll definitely be calling you back again. Yeah. Yes, so basically, guys, we started a bit late today, but we have to finish on time. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you for all the comments. Mami Dankwas Asante, she said, looking pretty, my dearest. Thank you so much. She loves my hair. Thank you. Amma Anthony, yes, my only lawyer. So she says, interesting topic. And then I saw that our resident lawyer, Amy, joined. She was watching as well. So hi, Amy. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. So Mark, you're actually going to be a guest on another show on Ntetiapa. What's the... With Kwame Baden,
with
right?
Kwame Baden,
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so guys, watch out for Mark as well. He's gonna be on another show. Yeah, so he's gonna be on another show with my colleague Kwame Baden, and the topic is let your health concern you. Yeah, so as you can tell, Mark is very, very healthy. So he's very old, sitting here. But look how young he looks. Because he looks after himself. So please tune in as well. Tomorrow, we've got an exciting show right here between 5 and 6. Let's Sing. Oh my gosh, I'm actually going to call in. So you just call in, you sing the song, and then you win money. We're in a COVID time. We all need money. Yes. So please tune in. And have a good week. Next week, we've actually entered into the love month. I have very, very exciting things coming up. We're going to be doing not too heavy topics and stuff. We're going to be doing fun things, how to prepare us for Valentine's Day, get us in the love mood and all of that. We have a DJ coming in, so get your song requests ready to request for your loved ones or whoever broke your heart, whatever. We're not judging. We're here for everybody. We have a stylist coming in to show you how to revamp your, what you have in your wardrobe and how to get sexy for your lover or your friend, whatever. Because I know all the shops are closed. We're still in a lockdown, but she will be in to let you know how to basically revive whatever outfits you've got to get you prepared for that special night. And then we also have some fun gamey shows as well coming up as well. So, you know, the month of January has been reflective. We've treated all the serious topics, but yeah, we're gonna change up the gear just a little bit, and, you know, make it a bit more fun and lighthearted in the month of February. Yeah, so exciting stuff. Please look after yourself, like Mark said, mask up, please wash your hands, keep your 2 meters distance, and look after yourself, because we want to make it through this year, and, you know, into the next and into the next and into the next. Okay, so take care, good night, and God bless. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Don't miss it.